Yo, what's up everybody? TrevorTCG here with Dredge in Explorer. Now, I posted a video at the weekend talking about my wish list for Shadows of Innistrad Remastered, and among the cards there, one of the ones that I'd like to get in the format the most is Prized Amalgam, which enables Dredge, an archetype that doesn't really exist at the moment, really, because Prized Amalgam is the most powerful thing it's doing in Pioneer. However, I have made videos with it before, and it can be quite potent. And one of the things I posited, basically in my Shadow of Innistrad kind of wish list, was that Prized Amalgam bringing like Dredge to like prominence of the format, though it's still obviously very weak to graveyard hate. And the way you kind of mitigate that a bit is by playing it in Best of One. I was kind of talking about how powerful Dredge can be as a deck in Best of One, and so what I figured I'd do is I'd take a look at the current Dredge deck, my current iteration of it, and see how good it is now. And then once we finally eventually get Shadows of Innistrad Remastered, I will record with it then. And so I normally don't do best of one content on the channel. I normally try and do predominantly best of three ranked stuff. But I know there are a few people looking for it, and I have included a sideboard here as well, so let's get into it. So the core of the deck, you have a pile of enablers and then some payoff cards. So enablers, we've got Merfolk Secret Keeper, so the target player mills 4 cards, you can cast it as an 0/4. Otherworldly Gaze is really important. Lets you kind of filter your draws as well, but Surveil 3 and then has flashback, so you can dump those cards into the graveyard. I'm playing a couple, and then, so I'll get around to the payoffs. You've got 4 copies of Stitcher Supplier, ETB, mill 3, die mill 3, fairly straightforward. One of your best turn 1 plays. We have Compelling Argument. Target player mills 5 cards, and you're like, well, this isn't quite Tome Scour, right? Because we don't have that, and there are a few things the Dredge deck is missing that it does have in Pioneer. Tome Scour is a simple 1 mana, target player mills 5 cards. I've talked about Prized Amalgam already. It's a 3/3 that once you have a creature return to the battlefield from the graveyard, it comes back itself from the graveyard as a recurring threat that comes back. But hey, Compelling Argument is very important because we're kind of leaning into founding the third path. It's a saga with read ahead. So the step 1 is you can cast instant or sorcery with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand that paying its mana cost. So we'll cast the Compelling Argument, we'll cast the Sovereign's Bite, we'll cast copies you have floating of Otherworldly Gaze and Cling to Dust as well. But then the second phase is straight up mill 4 cards. Okay, nice. So if you don't have the instant sorcery, you can just play it on step 2. And then step 3, it's exile target instant sorcery from your graveyard, copy it, and you can cast the copy. And so you get to reuse your spell-based mill effects along with Sovereign's Bite, which both burns your opponent out and gives you some reach, but also triggers the Silver Smoke Ghouls, which we'll get onto. And so yeah, that's your like enabler package. So we've got Secret Keeper, Gaze, Stitcher Supplier, Compelling Argument, and Founding the Third Path. The other like huge thing that you get in Pioneer that you don't have in Explorer is Breaking and Entering from Dragon's Maze, which is simply blue-black target player mills 8 cards. It's got another mode to it, but it's way too expensive. It's 6 mana, return a creature from the battlefield, from the graveyard to the battlefield. But it's just the most cards that you can get into your graveyard for the mana. But being in Dragon's Maze, probably a while off we get us getting that, to be honest. So let's talk about the actual like what we doing with our mill effects. So we have Narcomoeba. Narcomoeba is very fair in the Explorer version of Dredge because you don't have those Pride Amalgams for it to trigger. It's simply just, hey, it gets put into your graveyard from your library. You get it into play, hit your opponent in the air. Very, very fair, and because it's not like super powerful, it is one of the cards that you can trim when you're sideboarding. Just some advice there. Then we have Silver Smoke Ghoul. 3 mana, 3/1. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, return Silver Smoke Ghoul from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And so you can trigger that with Sovereign's Bite. You can also trigger it with Cling to Dust, which is another card that I'm trying out here, which really slices, dices, does quite a lot. Has a lot of potential, but I don't know how exactly good it is. So we're going to play some games with this. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature, gain 3 life, which again will trigger the Silver Smoke Ghoul. Otherwise, you just draw a card. But the idea is that it gives you a piece of graveyard hate that you can play in your main deck and use from the graveyard, which is handy. But it also helps you trigger your effects to kind of cycle through. And being as, hey, you mill it and you have access to it, it's something you can do later on in the game. And it's a nice, quote-unquote, free piece of interaction. Nothing's really free, but it's nice. I wanted to try 1, but then I figured because we're playing some games here for the video, I'll play 2 just to see if we can hit it and see how good it actually is. This way we just have a higher chance of seeing it. The most powerful payoff, just like on the face of it, is Creeping Chill. 3 and a black, deals 3 damage to each opponent, you gain 3 life. Occasionally you do cast it from the hand, and again you can occasionally flash it back with the, well, it's not quite flashback, but Founding of the Third Path it back to finish your opponent off. That 3 life does of course trigger Silver Smoke Ghoul, but when you mill it, you can exile it, and if you do, Creeping Chill does 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. And then the last card here is Haunted Dead. 3 and a black for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 spirit token with flying. So along with Knock Amoeba, you can present quite a lot of flying threats, but this 1 black ability at the bottom here, discard 2 cards, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, is where it's really, really powerful. And again, you don't have Prized Amalgam, like where you can pitch Prized Amalgam to this and then bring the Prized Amalgams back afterwards. It's incredible. Prized Amalgam's a huge addition, we don't have it. That's fine, we're going to play without it today, see how we do. Mana base is fairly straightforward. We've got 4 Watery Graves, 4 Underground Rivers, 4 Clearwater Pathway. This is a deck that will very much benefit from Darkslick Shores when we get that in Phyrexia, or will be 1. So in the time being, we've got a couple of mana confluences here. I'm playing Attack Anuma, which is actually kind of versatile here, because you want to mill cards as well, but discard it, mill 3, return a creature, planeswalker from your graveyard to hand. It's great for rebuying. Murphy's Secret Keeper, that's probably the main thing you're rebuying here. Occasionally Stitch of Supply, just depends what you have access to. And then we have a single Hive Dive Tyrant. I wanted to play a Manland, just to like, get the extra last couple of points of damage in. It gives you a little bit more of an edge versus control. Otawara, which actually plays a pretty nice position of being able to give you a piece of interaction for any graveyard hate your opponent has. At least here we're looking at game 1, but post-board it's also very good. It's one of your ways to end a step, bounce a Rest in Peace, and then just kind of untap and then try and hit a bunch of triggers with some resources you built up. And then a single copy of Island, you can fetch it off of Field of Ruin. I just wanted 1 land to fetch, because the deck is vulnerable to that. We're only playing 18 lands here. I did have a Pioneer version that played 16, which you can take a look at, and that kind of deck tech, I think was back in December, shows what my vision is for the deck once we have like all the cards from Pioneer ported over. I'll put a link to that in the description. The other thing to talk about here is like why only blue-black. So we're not playing Croxa, we're not playing Oxogonus. Oxogonus gets really, really good with Prized Amalgam, I think. There is like a case for playing Grixis. Here we're trying to be very, very clean in blue-black, just as consistent as possible. Crox is great, but is a bit of a tax trying to get double red, and there aren't that many good red payoff cards. You could also play try something like Scrap Heap Scavenger, but my kind of vision at the moment, or the way I see it at the minute, is that the shell is fairly set. Like, there's a couple of flex slots here, but realistically, like, you need the Secret Keepers, you need the Otherworldly Gazers. These Stitch of Supplies are locked in. I do think that the Founding the Third Path version of Dredge is like the best way to go at the moment. And so, along with that, Compelling Argument is just the most efficient thing you can do as an enabler to play off of Founding at the moment. Sovereign's Blight synergizes really, really well with Silver Smoke Ghoul and the Founding, and then also gives you a nice burnout plan with a lot of reach. The Knock Amoebas are a little underwhelming, but I think are free enough that you're fine with. And then Silver Smoke Ghoul, Haunted Dead, Creeping Chill are obviously fantastic. And so I don't think there's a ton of space, but you could try and play like a couple of Croxes and kind of butcher your mana base for that. And I have done in the past. I think I posted a Grixis Dredge video for Explorer a little while back as well. Ox is quite powerful, but again, doesn't really trigger your payoff effects. But hey. With that being said, oh yeah, I'll go through the sideboard. Again, taking this as a best of 1 event, just to kind of showcase how Dredge does in best of 1, and why like not having to worry about that graveyard hate, and being able to climb the ranks in best of 1 in Explorer is like something the Dredge deck with Prized Amalgam will be incredibly good at. And so we've got 4 copies of Spell Pierce and 4 copies of Thoughtseize. These are really important. You want to interact with and take away your opponent's graveyard interaction as fast as possible. With that being said, you're looking at things like Unlicensed Tusk, Rest in Peace as the main things you're targeting here. There is slower graveyard hate, things like Scavenging Ooze, Graveyard Trespasser. The deck actually puts a lot of cards in the graveyard very quickly, and you can play through those effects reasonably well. The decks that play them also are fairly weak to this kind of strategy as well, I will say. They're not putting like overly, like really, really fast pressure on you, and they're not going that wide, which are 2 things that you can take advantage of. Fatal Push. You can bring it in versus aggro, in particular versus something like Mono White, where you want to kill Thalia, which obviously slows you down massively. Also, those problematic creatures. Again, like you can having access to Scavenging Ooze is good. There's cards you want to trim. I'm playing 1 copy of Windsor Rebuke as a kind of another hedge towards non-land permanents. or has the upside of milling too as well. So you can EOT, end of turn, bounce, rest in peace, mill a couple of cards, untap, play a couple of mill effects, try and hit, like Creeping Chill, Haunted Dead, Silver Smoke Ghoul, to Payoffs to bring back into play before they can get the rest of the piece back down. It makes you window there. And then for Graveyard Hate, I was at one point playing Leyline, but I've got a couple of Ashioks here, which kind of doubles up, because you can bring them in versus slower mid-range control decks as well, because it's a repeated mill effect, and if your opponent, say something like Blue-White Control, has no way to attack the Ashiok, you just get to do this repeatedly. And then obviously is great versus some graveyard strategies, and also where your opponent wants to search your library. So it's a pretty nice versatile sideboard card, which also plays really well in the deck. Target player mills 4 cards, and then you exile the opponent's graveyard, so you do get to mill and yourself while still taking their graveyard away. That's the sideboard, if you're interested in that, but we're going to hop into, let me actually select it, a best of one event. I will catch you in game 1. Yo, just a quick heads up. In this video, I'm going to try and showcase Dredge, a deck that could potentially be a pillar in both Explorer and Pioneer, but gets hit a little bit by Graveyard Hate from Crossover Splash from Greasefang, and then also in Explorer in particular is missing the best card in the deck in Prized Amalgam. And so the games you're going to see here are a little bit rough, but hey, please bear with. Hopefully you enjoy it. And the idea is to kind of show what it looks like now, and kind of talk about the potential, how good it could be once we get Prized Amalgam and Shadows over Remastered. I did put up a wish list on the weekend. You can have a look at that if you want. But that was one of the key cards on there. So hey, enjoy. Alright, game 1. Let's see how we do. Now, I don't know exactly how well this is going to go. This is an interesting hand where we have 1, 2, 3 1-mana enablers on 1-land hand. We have a Creeping Chill, which is kind of like a mulligan. But the deck features fairly well off of 1 land, and we have a bunch of things to do. I think we can just keep this. But it is risky. Yeah, with Prized Amalgam, the deck is incredibly consistent as well. Even though you're kind of relying on milling the right cards, like, there's enough redundancy just from having so many of the same kinds of effects, like whether mill or payoff pieces to go into your graveyard, that you're not too worried. See what our opponent's up to here. Hopefully my client's not crashed. Okay, excellent. Underground River, I'm going to lead off with Supplier. Just because this telegraphs the least about what we're doing. In theory. Depends what we mill. If we mill something... Well, we actually milled 3 lands. Which, you know, we could have done with one of those, but that's okay. But often you'll play like Supplier, your opponent will be like, oh yeah, you're playing like Esper Greasefang. Or something like that. And all of a sudden you go... Well, I had an experience in Pioneer where I was like, okay, yeah, turn 2, breaking, mill, 2 Prized Amalgams and an Archimedes, put 7 power into play, and they were like, oh, yeah, not that. So, hey. Our opponent might be AFK here, actually. I think they timed out in Mulligan. No, okay. It looks like they're back. Well, let's hope so. But yeah, the deck is definitely way less powerful without Prized Amalgam, but I wanted to show you, like, see how it does, how it fares. Because I'm very convinced that once we get Prized Amalgam, the deck will be, like, stellar. In Best of 1, we get to avoid having all the hearses, all the rest of pieces and stuff. Cling to Dust is interesting. Our opponents just got the carries there. So we're just gonna try and do our thing as fast as possible. Get us out of here. Alright, we've hit a Silver Smoke Ghoul, but nothing else yet. Here's Sovereign's Bite in hand. If we do hit a second land. Or we can hit Creeping Chill if we don't get there. Could potentially look at cycling Compelling Argument. I'm probably more likely to Cling to Dust something before I cycle this. But we'll see. Our opponent was emoting at me, I don't know what's happening. But yeah. Well, I guess this is a non-game, I'll fast forward it from here. Alright, game 2. Game 1 was basically a no-show. So I might fast forward through that. We'll see. We're gonna have a couple of enablers here. We have this creepy chill on our hand, but kind of I have to be okay with that. Yeah, opponent. We lead to player again. Get a creature to play. Start being able to attack with it. Not gonna gaze on this draw step, but might on the following one. Depending on what we draw for our turn here. A little unfortunate. Given they're not playing red or white, I think we try and hold this Ottawa. I'll attack, just in case they do something to it. And I will argument myself. Yeah, that one does things. Now we have a Haunted Dad. I think that leaves me more likely than not to set us up and upkeep to Otherworldly Gaze. We can Otherworldly Gaze and then use 2 mana left over to Haunting Dead. Oh, interesting. That's a bub. Ah, whoops. I'll fire this off. Given all this, I'd rather draw the Secret Keeper. Yeah. We'll attack and get our damage in. Alright, same going, and we'll look to activate Haunting Dead, discarding the Cling to Dust and the Creeping Chill, and then untap and then Secret Keeper maybe. Though again, we might look to Otherworldly Gaze on our upkeep again. Ooh, pop number 2. Alright. These trigger, right? Yeah. Gonna add up pretty quickly. Could maybe throw the Haunting down on the bus next turn to block. Or just leave that as just a player. We'll activate this. We don't need to worry about doing this on like end of their post-combat main phase, so we don't have to worry about bringing amalgams back. It does matter a little bit for Supplement Ghoul. And then because we don't have anything else to do here, we will go have a look for something to do. Alright, well, this is ideal. We'll draw the Otherworldly Gaze. Pay the tax. Back with both of these. So getting the Ghoul back. Okay, if I want to Secret Keeper, I'm going to reset a stop on my upkeep. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do this now. Get the most cards in the graveyard as possible. Okay, we have 4 lands, but that's alright. We get the Ghoul back. Yeah, we can Otherworldly Gaze, and then potentially even Gaze again. Alright, so Tollivar is going to accelerate things a bit, right? He's a trigger. Whenever Wolf Will does come in, I should play a draw card. Yeah. I was going to say, I think should that. Oh, no. Get him in both. Lock on the supplier. See if we hit anything. Ooh, a Ghoul. Interesting. Use the one from hand first. That's less mana. Huh. Well, I think this makes sense. Then we can draw the Sovereign's Bite and play it. Gonna combat. I'll attack with these. Leave the Haunted Dead. The plan. They're gonna know blocks. The Sovereigns bite them down to 3. Then end step we get a couple of Ghouls back. Does flip. Lets them give things trample. These become 4/4s as well, and they've got a lot of mana open. It's red, green, X. Don't have trample by default, but when they die, they gain life. Okay. Oh, this is flip 2. This pumps them all as well. It gives them all... I don't know. Doesn't give them all trample. Neither the mana. Need to respect the walls a little bit more. Ooh. What's this to block with Narcomoeba? We're on 18. I can't want to do this well. Yeah, they're not dead yet. How many creeping shells have we? These two got one in the graveyard. These are all from the yard. This does just kill me, right? They did flip back. Let's do this. Oops. Oh, there we go. Narcomoeba. At this point, I don't want to draw these. We'll take a draw step here. Alright, Narcomoeba, main phase. So this has to block, which I think takes some things out of the equation. The problem is that we can't get lethal here. We're still on 18 is the thing. I think these are life things. They have to throw the Soul Vibe or another bus this way. We know that we can get it back later on. What kind of prices are this for now? Probably should have attacked with the Spirit. Maybe didn't just needed to not block with an Archer even last turn. Could have played it better. Beginning of combat, +2/+2. Yeah, they're still getting huge. And now we can't actually throw anything. Trade them all away. We need a land to cling to dust. Oh, jeez. Well, we kind of might as well throw away the Merfolk Secret Keeper. It's a bit of a miscalculation on my part. I wonder if they have like Team of Battle Rage. That'd be nuts. I think so. Yeah, we didn't have a good way to just kill him. Alright, I'm gonna find out here. That doesn't actually make a difference. We draw a Silver Smoke Ghoul. Let me... I'm gonna do that. Oh, I let him flip back. Pain. I just cast Narcomoeba. I wanted to Haunt him dead. It's effectively doing the same thing. Now I need to block both of these. Oh, if they attack with everything, we still get there. This has been very, very messy. Oh, I can flash it back. Yeah, they just put the triggers on the trample. Oh. Oh, I have to take damage. I don't know why it wanted to attack mana confluence. Getting reported. Okay. Oh, they got a draw. Oh no. We're at exactly one with lethal in play. Don't know what this card is. They're reading it. Oh dear. Ah. We're at one, which means we can't play any black mana costs. Imagine we hit. Alright, well, that's embarrassing. Let's go to game 3. Alright, game number 3. Had a pretty sloppy game too. I played pretty poorly. This is very off. This is a mulligan. The no-enablers, 3 Payoffs in hand is not what we want to be looking at. It looks a little bit better. We've got such supply on Otherworldly Gaze, even though we have the Sorted Dead. Maybe just put the Narcomoeba back in our hand because there's nothing. The Haunted Dead we can at least discard to a Haunted Dead or something like that. Isn't that the end of the world to cast? If need be. I think the Narcomoeba goes? Yeah. I'll lead off with such supply. Alright. We did draw a little on. We did have a bit of an unfortunate draw as well, I guess, but definitely could have played the end a lot better. Oh, Fire Red's interesting. This is a fun stare down. They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it. It doesn't get a lot better from here. The Firebrand indicates goblins, but could just be like a form of normal Mono Red. I'm not going to attack, of course. Now I'm just going to say go. Then we're going to Otherworldly Gaze and then Cling to Dust on their turn, probably. There's something to be said for Otherworldly Gaze not giving away much of the game plan. At least you get to say go and have mana up. They don't know what's going on. And then having some card flexibility could be good, but I think in general getting the supply just out there first versus random, like any possible opponent. Like when you don't know what your opponent's on. Yeah, they have to make a decision here, but they probably want to leave the Citrus supplier alive until they can muster up a reasonable attack. Like next turn if you have a lord or something. They can do this anytime. Doing it now is only advantageous for me. Alright, we're gonna Otherworldly Gaze. Then we'll see. We can maybe hang on to this Cling to Dust here. Getting a Haunted Dead Narcomoeba is pretty good. Do I want the Sovereign's Blight? I think I do, because we have the Silver Smoke Ghoul in hand. Our next turn basically looks like, okay, we're going to discard a couple of cards to the Haunted Dead, and then Sovereign's Blight the Silver Smoke Ghoul back into play. Yeah. Put this in, and then I think I would like to cycle this rather than just discard it. Again, I'll just get an island. If we had a ghoul already, like I guess the Sovereign's Blood also, like the Cling Dust also does the same role, but We'll go in with a Narcomoeba. They might just fire the Fanatic off of the Narcomoeba instead. That'd be certainly reasonable, I think. Wow, somewhat reasonable. They should be caring more about blockers than attackers. Well, my blockers than my attack. We'll pass. So yeah, that is Haunted Dead discarding the Haunted Dead and Silver Mogul, untap Sovereign Spite. That'll get the Silver Mogul back, and we can kind of graduate our partner a bit. The Goblin deck is pretty okay. Oh, never mind. That's an Anax. I'm gonna stop talking. I was expecting a Hobgoblin Lord, or something of that like. If they've got Anax, that definitely explains waiting until now to fire off the Fanatic Firebrand. My turn. Let's make this. I'm tempted to upkeep the Otherworldly Gaze, but if we don't find a land to play, we get punished for it. And then remove the stop. Yeah. Gonna attack with the flies. So after we've... depends what our next draw steps look like. Yeah, I still like the Sovereign Spite here. So we can... Because like going Otherworldly Gaze with our turn doesn't use a card in our hand, it lets us kind of recharge to use Haunted Dead from our graveyard again. Generate another 1/1 fly. Which looks to be our plan for kind of grinding this game out. They're just going to attack here. I'm worried about an Embercleave, but we'll try for the... We'll try this block set. Try and have the Haunted Dead eat a Firebrand. There is the Embercleave. That'll chunk us for quite a bit. But we have gained some life here, so it's not the end of the world. Even if we're taking 12, 13, 14. We're also eating the Firebrand. The Stitch Supply does die. Which, hey. Some cards in our graveyard. Okay. I'm going to set this up just in case I want to change my thinking on anything. We're on 10. If this Cling to Dust, which can gain us some life. The Anax. Oh, okay, they're playing Goblins, but with Anax and the Embercleave. They still have Battlecry Goblin. They maybe still have some... They probably don't have Chainwhirler running around. Or a Sideboard card. If you're doing this kind... If you're trying to fit this into your main deck. You can take a draw step, activate Haunted Dead. The problem is that we're now just kind of dying to this pretty quickly. I think we have to gaze here. Try and hit something good. Okay, Ghoul. Land doesn't do a ton. That's not true, right? Land lets us... That's Otherworldly Gaze, which doesn't get us the Sovereign Bite. Then we have to kind of gamble on that, though. We are dead to see the activation. Do this now. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have some other creatures. They can also use this to double pump their other goblins. And they're making even more stuff. In fact, they can just... Okay, this doesn't pump Anax. We're gonna journey now. Just so we have the information before we block with. Yeah, okay, we're just dead. Oh dear. I want Pirates though. Yeah, if we put all our blockers in front of this, we'll still dead. Okay. Well, let's go to game 4. See if we can rally back from the 1-2 dream. Alright, game number 4. We're in a 1-2 spot here. Punished a little for not respecting red-green werewolves enough. Kind of got beat down. And then had a rough game versus kind of mono red. We've not really seen the founding part of the deck at all. We have 2 enablers, we also have 3 power cards in hand that we want to get put in our graveyard. So I'm going to mulligan this. One of the mistakes here... Okay, well this is the opposite problem. We have Founding X2 with a compelling argument and Sovereign Spite. We can put the Silver Smoke Ghoul back. Decent, but obviously keeping 1 land. Well, a bit of a gamble stack. if we draw the Hive of the Hive Tyrant for our draw step, it is getting taken out of the back. Ooh, Angels is rough. This is actually the worst possible. Can't attack here, they just get to attack us back, getting life back. So yeah. This is not the dream. However, with Prize Amalgam, that gets so much better. Well, believe me, please. My life is crumbling before my eyes. Yeah, I played pretty poorly against Red Green. The Goblins match up was tough. We were mulliganed and then kept to kind of. You could go to 5 here. Like the deck does mulligan well. Again, a bunch of the cards just do the same thing. And so it does mulligan well. Then it makes like Haunted Dead. The one caveat is then it makes Haunted Dead worse. Because you need cards to pitch to it. With that being said, we hit our blue source. We can start our founding. I'm gonna play it on 1. Just argument ourselves. Okay, no real hits, so I'm gonna take pass. It's not looking great. It's not looking great. We get to mill cards, 4 cards with a cistern. We then also get to either founding to mill another 4 or Sovereign Spite. The Sovereign Spites might pull us through this were it not for Righteous Valkyrie and us getting life gained out of the game. We'll see. Is this plus for each life you gain? Yeah, it's not creature you control. They have to gain a ton. That puts them over Valkyrie's pump range, which is almost dead. Yeah, we can climb back some life here, but I don't think it's going to happen. Target us with the founding. At least get an Arkham Reaper. Then we're gonna founding. I think we're just gonna have to play it in mill 4. Hope we hit like 4 creeping chills, which actually still doesn't actually save us. I'm just gonna shot myself. Well, this has been an interesting experience. I do think Dredge is a little better than what we've seen here in the format. These games have been particularly rough. However, again, the whole kind of point is that it's missing this huge centerpiece, the best card in the deck in Prized Amalgam. We'll look at this again once we have Prized Amalgam, hopefully, please. If it's not in Shadows over Industry Remastered, I will be so upset. And yeah, till then, thank you for watching the video. It's been a bit of a sag